Hello, welcome back to all my cloud scholars out there. Listen, we are at part 9. We just wrapped up part 8, which is what are analytical rules. If you haven't watched that, I would suggest that you do. It's a quick PowerPoint overview, but I really don't like PowerPoints too much as I do them. I like to just show you how it is in the portal, but it's really important because you have certain key things that helps you drive your point. And understanding the theory is great. But we need to get the practical as well. So you have to do both. This part 9 is how to create a Sentinel Analytical Rule. So I have Microsoft Sentinel on the screen right now, and what I'm going to do is you need to go into Microsoft Sentinel if you're following along, and you need to go into Analytics. Once you go into Analytics, you'll see here in my tenant, if I go to Active Rules, I only have one active rule. So when it comes to rule templates, the one that I want to go through with you is a rule that's called user assigned privilege. And it basically just watches how users are being assigned certain roles. But before we get into that, once you click on any one of these rules, these templates, you'll see that a pop-up window will come here and it will give you the description of what that is and how that works and all the other stuff. So right down here, so let's look at this one. GitHub sign-in burst from multiple locations. So this says detection triggers when there is a sign-in burst from multiple locations in GitHub. This detection is based on configurable thresholds which can be prone to false positives. To view the anomaly-based equivalent of the detection, please click here. Now, I mentioned in the previous video about, adding the rules that you need in your organization because, you only need a certain amount. Some people say just add all of them and put them as active rules and then take them away. What we're going to do is we're going to go the opposite route, right? So we have active rules only one, but we have a bunch of rule templates. If you see down here, the way you read this, it says data sources, it says sign-in logs and audit logs. Because when we did our data connector, we only did our sign-in logs and audit logs. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go back to Content Hub, and I'm going to go to Azure Active Directory, which is this one right here, and I'm going to go to Manage. Azure Active Directory. And I'm going to see right here, you see it's so much the same thing. Connector type, sign in, and audit logs. So if I open a connector page, this is what it's referring to, sign in logs and audit logs. Now, if I were to add one of these, you would see the green check mark would add on to it. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to just click Apply Changes. And I'm going to go back. Let's see if it starts showing it. If I go Manage. Probably going to take a little while for that to refresh, but that's exactly what it would show for us. So let's go back into our Sentinel and let's go to our analytics again, and let's walk through some more information. So up here is where you would have so you could create a scheduled query, which is going to run every so often. You have the NRT query rules, which is the near real time, and you have the Microsoft incident rules as well. You have some analytic workbooks that you can set up here as well for efficiency. And health audit preview is in preview mode, and so on and so forth. But what I really want to concentrate on is, actually, let me go to anomalies so you can see exactly how this looks with the anomalies. And with the user behavior anonymous detection and all the other stuff is over in this section. And I'm going to go through some of that stuff a little bit later, but I really want to focus on the active rules and the rule templates. So if you look at our rule templates, we have our severity, we have the name of the rule, the analytics rule template, we have the rule type, whether it's scheduled and NRT and stuff. So these are the types that I was referring to in the other video. Which I was when I showed you the Microsoft documentation of the different types, the data sources, and this is going to be the data sources that you connected, right? So this is if you set up with Azure Active Directory, Azure Activity, and so on and so forth, Microsoft 365. So I click on it, you can see right here what this provides us. And then you have the different tactics. I didn't really go into too much with tactics. I feel like tactics is its own video in itself. But you have these different tactics here that it shows you, whether it's credentials or anything like that, or if it's privilege access, so on and so forth. And then you have the different techniques right here, and then the source name. So what I want to look for is one that's called user assigned, and here we go. So if I click on this one, this says identifies when a new privileged role is assigned to a user. Any account eligible for a role is now being given privileged access. If the assignment is unexpected or into a role that isn't responsible of the account holder, investigate. So let's go ahead and we're going to click on create rule, and you see it's tactics, it says persistence, right? And here is the Kusto query that it runs. So if I come here and I say create rule, so the rule is user assigned privilege role, and I can leave it as high, and I have the different tactics right here, which is initial access. And if we click here, it shows us the T1078 valid accounts. You could do a couple other things here as well, but we're fine with the way it looks. We have persistence. Let's see what shows up here. It gives us a T107 valid accounts as well. Let's see, privilege escalation. It says, oh, it keeps going back to valid accounts, and so on and so forth. So this is what it shows us for this one. So if I go and I set up rule logic, right over here it's saying audit logs where category role management, and then it says where AAD operations assign eligible, where activity display name has any add eligible member or role, add member to role. So this is the Kusto query that runs to make sure that this rule gets set up correctly. Over here, we can make some changes. You have your entity mapping. It has all the information here for us, but this is how it would look. You have custom details if you need to put anything there, and then you have alert details if you wanted to put some alerts that you wanted to put in there. And then you can have run query every, so right now it says run query every 2 hours. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to say we're going to run this query every 10 minutes. And then look up data from the last, right? We can keep this to 2 hours, but I'm going to say, you know what, we'll just say for the last hour, which is fine. Remember, we're just using this just lab purposes. So to start running automatically. So what it's going to do is going to start running. If I make any changes to any privileges, then we'll be able to see it. And it says alert threshold. It says generate alert when number of query results is greater than 0, right? Because we want it, if it happens initially, we want it just to run. Now down here, it says event grouping. It says configure how rule query results are grouped into alerts. So you can say group all events to a single alert or trigger an alert for each event. So you can group them into alerts. So this way you can see everything all together, and we'll just keep it that way. Incident settings. So you have create incidents from alerts triggered by analytics rule, which is fine. And then you have alert grouping settings. We're not going to go through all this, we don't really need that right now. This is a section which is extremely powerful. It says automated response. So let's look at what we want it to do. Because remember, a SIM tool is supposed to respond to things for you. Like, you don't need to go in and see what's going on and then say, oh crap, and then now make a response and make some type of a modification. That's too manual. Your SIM tool is going to do this, and this is why the SIM tools are so powerful. So let's see, automation rule. So I'm going to say, I'll just say add, I'll say assign to group. And then trigger when incident is created or updated, when alert is created. We'll say when incident is created, we'll leave it as that, and we'll leave this conditions as equals all and contains current rule. And we'll have actions. So I can run a playbook, I could change status, I could change severity, I can assign an owner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign an owner. And what I'll do is I can now say, hit down here, and I can choose who's the owner I want to assign this to. So I can say I want to assign this to finance. I could assign it to Corp HQ. I have a bunch of different things I want to do. So I could say, you know, let me assign it to App 1 Team. So I assign it to App 1 Team. I can add more actions if I wanted to run a playbook as well. If you notice, assign to owner is still here as well, but you know, you can run a playbook. Let's say if you want to assign it to somebody else, you can. So I can assign it to 2 individuals if I wanted to, or I could run a playbook, which I just want to assign it to owners. So I want to show you this, the house, you know, something very simple of how you can go about setting it up within your organization. Rule expiration, we're not really doing anything like that, and we'll just click apply. So this is going to be a really simple rule, but I want you to see the power of Sentinel and the automation process. So I'll click save. So now when I go here, I see we have now 2 active roles. So we have a user assigned privilege role, and then we have advanced multi-stage, attack detection. So if I were to assign a privilege role, like a contributor role, a global admin role to any user, what should happen is when I go to my incidents, right now it says no incidents were found. So what will happen is once I assign somebody this role, then a new incident should pop up and it should be assigned to that group, which we talked about earlier. So let's go back to analytics rules, user assigned. Template, alert grouping. Let's go here, edit. So what was the group? Let's see. App 1 team. So that was a group that we assigned it to. All right, cool. So now I'm going to go over to Microsoft Entra and I'm going to choose a user. So I'm just going to go with this test user 1. And I'm going to go to assign roles. So there's no active assignments. Is there any eligible roles? No eligible roles. So I'm actually going to add an assignment to test user 1, and I'm going to select the role. And let me see if I can, well, let's see, what contributor role do we want to do? Or we can just go and say, let's give the big boy role. So global administrator, that's fine. And I'm going to click next, and I'm going to click assign. Let's do active. Permanently assigned, that's fine. Testing purposes. Okay, so we just assigned the role. Remember, our query is, our rule is going to run every 10 minutes within our organization. So we want to make sure of that. So what we're going to do now is I'm running that, and I have my rule here. So let me close out of this, and I'm going to go back to my Microsoft Sentinel, and I'm going to go to my incidents, and probably nothing's going to pop up as of yet. So we're going to give it some time so that it can run. I'll come back within the next 10 minutes and see exactly what populates for us. Okay, Cloud Scholars, we are back. You can see on the screen, we have 3 incidents that has populated for us. You know, when we set up this analytical rule, remember when we created it from the template, we set it up as a high severity. Now we could have done it medium or low, but when it comes to managing identities, I would definitely say anything where it comes to given any roles, which should be a high alert, because that is exactly what hackers are going to try and do. They're going to try and get into one of your identities and somebody in your organization, and what they're going to do is try to elevate their rights so that now that they have unlimited access to everything in your organization, and they can move from one area to another without being noticed. So this is one that should definitely be high. So let's look and see what's happening. Remember, when we set up our analytical rule, we set it to run every 10 minutes. So it's going to say, oh, okay, we're seeing it again and again. So as you can see, the time, first one came in at 11:54, 12:04, 12:14, and if my math is right, it should be 12:24, which should be the next alert that comes in. And let's switch it. Let's do another refresh, and we have another alert for 12:24. So our analytical rule is working. It's supposed to be running every 10 minutes. Now, keep in mind, when you're running these rules and you're saying what you want the intervals when you want it to run, keep in mind that that is going to be an extra cost because there's more data that is being set up within your log analytics workspace. So that is more data that's being ingested. So you want to make sure your analytical rules are running to a certain degree. Now, let's look at this role because they're all the same. And we can see right here, it says user assigned privilege role, and it says is assigned to the app team, right? And one thing I want you to know is right here, owner, we can now choose which owner that is assigned to. So let's just say if we wanted to see everything for GMSA group and I clicked OK, we see nothing. But if I say everything that's for the app, 1 team, we see everything. So we'll just keep it as all. I just wanted to point that out. I don't think I mentioned that earlier in the video. So I wanted to make sure that I let you know about these little filter options up here. So let's click on this. And you can see this is our rule. So we wanted to figure out what's going on here. I can go click on view full details. So now that we're in full details, on this left side is pretty much the same thing that we saw. It lets us know the severity is high. We can change it if we wanted to put it as medium, we could. It says it's a new status, and we have the owner team, right, which is the app team. And you can see it says entities. It has 2 entities here, even though we only did it for test user 1. And I'm going to explain what this MS-PIM is right here. So over on the top, we can refresh it. We can delete the incident. We can go to logs, right? If we click on logs, what do we see here? This is our log analytics, and we can go ahead and start doing some queries, which is fine. What I want to show you is this right here, this task preview, this option up here. So if I click on task preview, let me zoom out, I can add a task, right? So if I wanted somebody to do something, and I'm going to say investigate, check on who performed this. I'm just throwing anything up there, and I can add a task if I wanted to add a task to it, and it's created by me. And if I come over here, I can delete it, or I can come over here and check and say that this task is completed. So that's pretty cool that you're able to do that. So if we click on activity log, let's see what shows up here. Incident activity log, we see automation rule. Rule assigned to group was triggered on incident. Rule executed successfully. It gives us all this information right here, and we can do some comments down here if we would like to. Now let's go a little bit over into the screen. I'm going to come over to investigate, but I do want to show you on this side. It has this overview. It says user assigned privilege, and it tells us the time when this happened. I can remove the alert if I wanted to. And then if I click on entities, it lets us know what entities are involved with this incident. And you can see similar incidents, and this is all the incidents that came in previously, because remember, this one is incident ID 4. This is 321 here as well. And you can see it says similar entities, and it says last owner was the app 1 team. Over here, we have incident actions. We could run a playbook, we could create automation rule, or we could create a team, which is in preview mode. This is under the new experience. Let me see if I take that off. And we have it looking this way, which is the old experience. So we say similar incidents. It shows us that. It gives us the alerts. It gives us the bookmarks. There's no bookmarks here. It tells us the entity, and then we have certain comments here as well. So, you know, just showing you both views that we have here. Let's just go back to the new experience and see how that looks. All right, cool. So now let's go over here to investigate. So this investigate right here, this is like an incident investigation map. And what you see here is it shows you exactly this is a remove alert from incident preview. And we have our test user, and it has PIM. So if we click on this, and we can see we have 4 related alerts. It gives us the alerts here as well. When we click on that, that's pretty cool. I like the way that looks. And you see it's giving us the same thing. Each one is just going to give us a different alert, system alert ID. If I click back here and I go to, trying to view out, host triggering, Microsoft Defender, all this other stuff comes up here, but it's not really much for us to choose. And if I come over here to MS-PIM, this MS-PIM is just letting us know that it was done through Microsoft Privileged Identity Management. And remember, we did that through Microsoft Entra. Over here, it lets us know high severity, new status. We can close it out if we wanted to close it out. I'm going to do that later on in the video. App team, we could change it here as well. But the thing that's great about this is a timeline, right? So it gives us a different timeline of what's going on when user assigned privilege. You can say the info is not showing us anything at the moment. We have entities, it's letting us know what entities were involved in this incident. And it gives us the alerts. And if we go to insights, no insights are shown there either. So that's really how you would go about looking at your incidents for your Microsoft Sentinel. And if I want to go back now, and what I want to do is I'm going to close this out. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So let me go back into Sentinel really quickly, and I'm going to go back to my incidents. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, you know what, this incident is all good. I'm going to close it out. Classification, true positive, suspicious activity, false positive. I can leave it as undetermined. I'm going to say false positive, and I can just click apply. And then now that one is closed. As you can see now, number 4 is closed, but number 5 is there because it ran again. So I'm going to come back over here and let me see if I can close out all of them at the same time. I could delete them if I wanted to, but I really don't want to go about doing that. So let me come back over here to actions, owner, status closed, and it was app 1 team. And classification, I'll just say undetermined for this. And the great thing is, I should have slowed down there a little bit, but it says it will archive to the team. So we're going to go to their Microsoft Teams. And then that's pretty much it. So now you are able to see how you would go about going through some of your incidents, setting up an analytics workspace, but then also going through incidents as well. So we covered both incidents in this video, and we also covered how to set up your analytics as well. So I don't want this to continue running so much. So I'm probably going to turn this one off just so I don't have too much data ingestion. But you pretty much get the point of how this works. Analytic rules are really great for your organization. There's so much more that you can do with it. This was a simple one because I just wanted to show you exactly how you could go about with the analytic rules and seeing how they work within your organization. So I hope the information I provided you in this video was beneficial. If you have any questions or comments, or is there an analytical rule that you have that you're working on that you're like, hey man, I'm having some issues setting this with the organization, please send it over and I'm more than happy to help you out. In the meantime, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like and subscribe button. Here at Cloud Scholars, my goal is to get you from scholar to consultant, and of course, consultant to expert. Thank you, and see you next time.